You don't know who's listening. You're trying to figure things out, whether you have a team or not. So just that alone is a mental strength that you have to have. You add on health challenges, that makes it completely different.
Whether you're a self taught musician, have a teacher, or you're already a professional, this show is meant to help you with knowledge, mindset, craft, and strategies to improve your overall musicianship so that you can become the best musician you can be, regardless of your goals. Welcome to Musicianship Mastery. Hello and welcome to episode number 133. My name is David Lane, and it is great to be with you once again. So we talk a lot on this show about doing the best practice that you can, trying to become the best musician that you can. But how do you handle all of that if you just don't feel up to it? Like if you physically are not what you would perceive to be your normal self. If in fact you're not just having a bad day or not having a bad week, but you live with a chronic illness, you have chronic pain, or you have some other ailment that keeps you from really feeling like doing anything involving music, even though you still have the goals, you still have the desire to become the best musician that you can be. Well, I'm going to be talking about that today with Jastin Artis. Jastin is the president of a coaching company called A&R in Your Pocket. He's also a multi-genre musician, including hip-hop and R&B and pop. But for this episode, we're not going to really talk much about any of his music or music in general. We're going to talk about the idea of making music when you have a chronic illness, because Jastin has been living with a chronic illness since 2019. We're going to chat about how that has changed his approach to music. And also, you get to hear his very positive attitude and what I think should be an encouragement to you if you are struggling with this, or if you know someone who desires to be a musician or is a musician already, but is struggling with chronic illness. So let's go ahead and get to my conversation with Jastin Artis. Well, Jastin, it's great to have you join me today, so welcome.
David, thank you. Thank God for being here. And real quick, just want to shout out my wife. I love you. And my two boys, Jason, Jameis, I love you. Jameis, rest in heaven.
So let's talk a little bit. Give us a little bit of background on your story. I guess maybe a little summary of like what your career has been like
Mm,
going into 2019, and then what
post.
happened in 2019 to kind of change that.
Yeah. Well, first, I'll say that I never intended to be in the music industry, an artist. I like growing up, I didn't have that desire. But looking back, I was around music in so many ways. I was a band geek, played clarinet. I wrote poetry, but I felt like it was more, you were taught how to do it. You found out you were good at it, and I just kept doing it. By the time I got to high school, there was a lot going on in my brain, so poetry definitely helped. But that means I was good at English, so I was good with words, communicating. Still, no inkling of, oh, I want to be a musician one day. Um, I had a friend who played guitar and wrote poetry, so we hung out a lot, wrote a lot. Still, nothing. Um, I also have a few industry friends or family members. One's the rapper, one's a DJ, one's been in radio, one started with Jay-Z back in the day. So I had various viewpoints of what it was like to be in music. Still, David, no desire. But it was
Hmm.
in college. First month or so, my uncle finally got me a guitar because Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, like changed my life. I knew I heard it several times before, and it was through my friend that he was playing and writing poetry. This one day he played it, I was just like, yo, I gotta play guitar. And so in school, probably like the first month or so, I'm teaching myself how to play. I decided, hey, let me try to write a song. I fell in love with the process. Went to the library. This is before Google and, YouTube University. And I was hooked. I was like, okay, yes, I want to be behind the scenes. I want to songwrite. Slowly but surely, I fell in love with producing. Slowly but surely, I fell in love with engineering. And before you know it, I became, hey, that guy Jastin does music. You should go to him. So then I became that person that was sharing what I knew and had learned. So the A&R aspect started to develop. So about 10 years in, that's all I was doing. Then around '09, I just, being a man of faith, I heard God tell me to be an artist. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. It felt like it was too much responsibility. But I was obedient. And by 2019, I had put out maybe 10 albums, I think, by that time. Um, Really, all on my own. Had a few independent situations happening, but nothing that like flourished. So I just taught myself the business by doing it, connecting with people, studying the industry and all of that type of stuff. And then I went to Full Sail in 2017 to get my credentials, right? I did master's in entertainment business. And then 2019, working a day job contract, had just re-signed for another 6 months. Then I found out that we lost my girlfriend then had lost had a complication,
Hmm.
and it ended up in a matter of days of us losing our son at 22 weeks.
Wow.
Um, Very devastating, very like, why is this happening to me? Especially with the job market. It was like I was doing a good job. I re-signed, and now you tell me business needs have changed and we have to let you go in a time where I had the biggest loss of my life, right? So I did the whole, well, first of all, I took some time off, right?
Right.
And I did the whole job thing. I'm pretty proud. I'm like a pretty diverse background. Um, I was an English major, so I mean, who doesn't want an English guy on your team, right? Um, I took pride in my work no matter what I did. Now I have 2 degrees. So I'm like, I'm sitting pretty great. I should be able to get something pretty easily within my field. And I
Right.
didn't. And so I decided to take on, being a music entrepreneur 100%. I couldn't take it anymore. So I dove in. And then shortly after, I woke up and I couldn't move. It was very difficult to get up. And later I found out that I had a chronic illness. So it was very different. I think by the time COVID hit, it was, hey guys, welcome to my world. I've been working from home for quite a while now. um, but as everyone, everybody has their own experience, but I know the tragedy of it, but also there was the beauty and the ashes from it, right? And being able to connect with more people more intentionally, figuring out how to pivot with now I'm dealing with what I know now is fibromyalgia and doing what I love every day, right? Trying to maximize on all the areas I know how to do. And it has been definitely challenging, but very rewarding at the same time. So, yeah, that's the before and after of 2019.
I did want to ask, you just mentioned, you put out some albums before then.
Hmm.
Are they on your own, under your own name, or did you have like
Yes.
an artist name? So,
Yep. So, funny story. My first name and middle name is actually Jastin Artis. So
right.
I didn't go by artist for a while. I'd never liked it. Felt
Hmm.
old. Shout out to my grandfather. I never met him, but it was his name. And
Right.
when I made the pivot, a guy that I was working with, he mentioned like, "What is your name gonna be?" Because I'm in hip hop, and I was like, "I don't want it to be little anything." So that's all I got. And he was like, "Well, I think you should go by Jastin Artis." And I was like, "What? Nah, I don't use that name." And he's like, "Bro, listen, your name is artist. Like it's perfect. It sounds great, but it's actually your name." I never
Right.
came up with anything else, David, so I kept
Oh,
it.
great.
Yep.
Well, okay. So you got, yeah, I was thinking, I was looking at the notes, you found out you had fibromyalgia in
Mhm.
2019. And then that's 1 year before COVID. So it's like, I was curious how your reaction would be if that would be like, oh, great, something else, or it's like, well, I mean, I'm already kind of in the situation.
Yes.
But I mean, one thing I know when you have big things hit you, and Um, I never had chronic illness. I have lower back pain, and
Oh, that's
that,
brutal.
that's
It's brutal.
pretty much it. But it's it hasn't really kept me from the things that I
Right.
need to do or want to
Right.
do. But I imagine, it kind of sounds like, like what you've dealt with, not being able to move when you wake up, that can affect not being able to do what you
Yep.
want to do or what you need to do.
Yep.
So, like, what are some steps that you had to do, and like, how long did it take from that moment you woke up and you couldn't move to, getting the diagnosis, and then like, what were the steps you took to get started on the next part of your journey?
Right. Well, shout out to those that have back pain. It's serious. You know what I mean? I've dealt with that as a symptom. I see my dad go through it a lot though, so I know it's not an easy thing at all. Um, so actually, it took me about 2 years to find out that I had fibro. So I believe I woke up like my legs were tight, and it's like, what is going on? Um, I just like literally I could not move. And when I could move, it was very, very painful. Um, and so it was about 30 days that I had to live like this. And shortly after it just like it died down, but it was still very intense. And I'm thinking maybe David it's just some random whatever. Like this is not gonna hinder me because I'm a go-getter. I My mom taught me how to definitely earn my keep, as they say. I love to work. I love to do what I do. I don't care what the job is, right? So this is definitely keeping me from this new pivot that I made with being an entrepreneur. So, I'm being an artist, so I'm creating my own stuff, doing more social media, obviously. Um, I'm performing, right? That was something that was big that I was already doing. And then figuring out how I wanted to do my artist development, right? So the next 2 years was just how do you live with this and you have no idea what it is? So of course I did all the doctor stuff. Nobody could really tell me anything. And so it was just a constant day of the biggest symptoms then were cognitive issues, so memory, comprehension, staying focused, feeling confident when I'm in the studio making something that I don't like have that feeling of like this sucks the entire time I'm making what I'm making. Um, Physical pain, so fibro is all about widespread body pain, so from your head to your toes. There are pain points, so for me, it's typically my shoulders, my neck, my back, and then my pelvic and my legs. So pretty much every area that you really need to move. Talking about playing guitar, like it was all difficult. Even sitting,
Hmm.
I usually do 2 hour sessions and take breaks, right? Even sitting after 30 minutes or so was very, very difficult. Um, but it was my knee doctor. I forgot what they're called, but I had an issue with my knee during this time as well. And so he was like, "Yeah, you're having some cartilage that's deteriorating," but he was like, "I think you have fibromyalgia." And I'm like, "Fibro what?" And so I went to see a rheumatologist, I believe they're called, and they confirmed that I had it. So um, since, well, I guess like you said during the COVID time, it was just I don't know. I'm the kind of person that just face what I'm dealing with and you just pivot and do the best you can and not try to be perfect about it or get too down on what you can not do. Now that's hard for someone like me, but what else was I gonna do? I felt like if I pity myself or just kind of stayed in that oh woe is me, why me, um, that I still couldn't get to do even a little bit of what I can do, right? So that was my mentality. But yeah, it was not easy, especially with COVID and how things were changing from like appointments, right? Like it's taking months to see people, and it's like, dude, I need to find out what's going on with me. I need some medication. I need something. So since then, I've been able to navigate it a bit better. But it's actually in recent months that I've been stopping the Western world of medicine and doing holistic supplement. type things, and I've actually seen a big change.
Hmm.
So still dealing with like pace and how do I manage myself, and again listening to my body, but um, it feels good to feel a bit more like myself, you know.
So, how have you adapted, like your practice, the creative process to
Oh
fit your
man,
new world, basically?
sometimes yeah, sometimes it's too painful to even play.
Hmm.
Um, I remember, I've been playing for 23 years, so pretty much the same amount of time I've been in the business, right? Or what I like to say, committed to music. Um, in the early years, I mean, pretty sure a good 8 to 10, I played 8 hours a day, like they say, right? When I'm practicing, looking at tabs, learning songs, creating my own stuff, working on scales, like I was doing all of that. Fiddling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very disciplined. Then when I started making music, I think, it's still average at a good amount of time. But when you're dealing with this, it's like, dude, I like the calluses part of playing.
Hmm.
I could play probably at least 2 hours straight before I really start to feel like pain. Man, it's like 5 minutes, right? So, what I had been doing so much of, a good portion of my life now is like this feels even worse than the beginning.
Hmm.
And I think the irony was I've in around 2018, maybe like a year or two before, I felt like I need to get back to the basics. So this kind of forced me to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just you do what you can do. I would definitely push myself. I mean, I'm all about, growth, and I feel like the only way you do that is see how far you can go. But I had to live with, hey, that was a good 5 minutes, right? I would see that increase. I even had a situation, David, where I had surgery on my dominant hand, two on my wrist, one on my elbow between 21 and 23. And so playing guitar was part of my rehab, and that made it that more difficult because now I'm feeling all types of pain in my arm. I can't really like strum, like I'm just feel inadequate, right? So it was really just trying not to be hard on myself, be graceful, and then I think the use of some plugins um, to make me still feel like I could play, right?
Hmm.
I may not can do a lot of what I'm used to doing, but finding the right tools to help me still be competitive in what I do and my sound and all that. It was just a godsend for real because I'm still at this point today. I'm still not practicing it as much as I want to, but I just try to, have a plan and just try to do it. And where I fall short, it's like just it's okay. It's okay. So,
Yeah. I every now and then I kind of watch some videos or read some blogs about, like, just trying to take care of myself, just doing just some body weight exercises like push-ups
hmm
and pull-ups. And one
yep,
one thing, a principle that's come up every now and then is the idea of like volume being the most important thing. And it's to say, like, whether it's a push-up or a pull-up, let's say that you can only do one of them, that's it, but and you'd like to be able to do 30 or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Well, do one, take a break, do another, take a break, do another. And then, when you're done, you're done. But then next time, try to go a little longer, try to do two,
hmm
take a break, then two.
hmm
And before you know it, it's like you have done 30. It's been spread out over about like
exactly.
30 minutes.
Yep,
But then you get to where you can do that in 20 minutes,
yep,
and then you do it in 15, 10. So it sounds like there might be a little bit of that to what you've had to go through, just in terms of like it's an idea of like I'm getting my practice in, but it's volume spread out instead of
right.
volume compressed.
Yep, yep. And I think that I think what helps with that for me, David, is years ago, I finally took that perfectionism off. I
Hmm.
feel like most of us creators, we like it's got to be perfect. It's got to be, whether you're practicing your instrument, you're producing, composing, like it's got to be perfect. And I've always fell in love with like imperfections, especially in the studio, like recording, and you didn't like mean to do what you did, but you listen to it and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I think that really came into play for me during this time now. And like you said, like with my wrist issue, um, I love doing push-ups and I used to play ball. So I can't do any of that anymore. So I went to the resistant bands because we were doing it in therapy. I was like, man, this is actually makes me feel like I'm doing push-ups. So I would do that. That's like one of my top exercises. And to your point, I was 5 minutes, man. I don't know
Yeah,
how many that is, but I do like two or three different exercises and I'm like, okay, I'm good. And sometimes I go back. And so you're right. I absolutely I think you have to be open to be creative and still getting your practice in or what you want to get done without feeling bad about it.
right,
And obviously not comparing yourself to someone, when I scroll on IG, I'm like, oh my gosh, he or she is killing playing guitar. I don't know if I'll ever get to that, but I don't know if I would have gotten to that even before Fibro. So,
right,
it's like you just can't overwhelm yourself on um where you are now because either way, like you said, the volume spread out, you're still getting there. It's just not in the same way. And I think that's a big key that I'm still learning, but I'm feeling pretty good about it.
right. One thing that it surprises me, I was just thinking, I haven't talked much about this on my podcast. I talk a lot about practice, talk a lot about goals setting and motivation, but
Mhm.
something very common that I haven't really talked about much before is when you just don't feel like doing it, and
Come
that
on
can
now.
be in normal everyday life.
Yep.
It's like I'm trying to watch what I'm eating, but I woke up today and I was like extra chocolate today is what it's like it's just that's just kind of where the mood is today.
Yep.
I've got
Yep.
it's a Trader Joe's dark chocolate I really
Come on,
like.
man. Come on.
Having a little bit more of it today, but there's some days that I don't feel like writing music or I don't feel like playing
Yeah.
piano, and that's just it could be I didn't sleep as well as
Hmm. Hmm.
I normally do, or it could just be like where it's a very cloudy, kind of oppressively cloudy day today, so there's a lot
Right.
of factors that go into that. But when you throw chronic pain into the mix, I imagine that's exponentially harder.
Yeah.
Uh, so what what do you do to get yourself going and with having chronic illness to just keep doing the work or do what you can? What are the
Yeah.
strategies? Like I know you mentioned, your faith is of course important, but what are the how do you get discipline? How do you get mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, First thing I think of is it's a choice.
Hmm.
You have to choose it, right? And I've made the choice when everything was fine, so to speak. I could go play ball for 3, 4 hours and feel good about it. I could, I feel like most creatives, I'm a night owl, so I could work the 8 hour job and come home and do another 8 hours and get up early and do it again and love it, right? That was a choice, and I think when everything changes like that, where you're affected in just your everyday life, right? It's a struggle to do anything, just to take care of myself. And shout out to my wife who's been very supportive during this time. So I go back to like before and like, hey, I chose to do this. Well, you can still choose to do it now, but you have to do it differently. And so, like you said, um, being open to, hey, this is what I feel like doing today. Or if I know my body's absolutely like, Justin, you cannot, if you do something today, you're gonna pay for it. And so after making the choices, listening to your body, figuring out what I can do. So, my phone in the bed is a big thing, right? I have the Galaxy S23, so I can pretty much do everything I want to do, especially like on the admin business side of things. Um, but I feed myself differently. Practice doesn't always have to be, oh, I'm playing. So I'm finding podcasts like this or, audiobooks that I need to read to make sure that when I am ready to sit in the studio, that I'm gonna be at least a bit more confident than I was last time, right? And so, shout out to all the people that I've been able to listen to, especially given COVID. Everybody's been pouring in to share what they do, right? Um, and I think the other thing, the biggest thing is outside of the choice is just being mentally prepared of things are not going to be what they were. Like you said it, I'm figuring out this new normal, right? And so it's gonna be like practice. It's sometimes gonna hit the right notes, sometimes I am not. Sometimes I'm not gonna understand, like I can hear what I want to play, but it's gonna take me an hour instead of 15 minutes to get it all down, right? So like just understanding the little bit that I can do, like God is still gonna make it work. But that still has been very challenging. But then when I see moments where I do hit the right note, or I'm doing coaching calls and I meet extraordinary people who are across the seas from me, um, and we're able to connect, and I'm able to help them. Just that one time, that one moment is like, okay. The next time I wake up where I'm feeling, oh, I don't feel like I got it today. I don't like medicine. I don't even think it's gonna help or whatever. I think about those moments and it's like, okay, what can you do today? And then you just kind of take it from there. And some days I can push a little bit. Other days, like you said, I want to have my chocolate from TJ's. So
Yep.
I enjoy it, toast it up, and then on to the next day, right? Just grateful for the next day.
Um, so you have to balance the needs of your body
Yeah, yeah.
with your musical goals. And again, you've got the mindset, but what are some like practical ways? What are some actual things that you do to make sure that you're not neglecting either one?
Ooh, David, that's a great question. Um, I think it's like first you have to reflect about it, right? And I'm big personal or self-reflector, so I will always think about what I'm learning, what I've learned about fibro. Like I'm constantly like learning about it, and I'm for some reason I'm always that 1% that things happen to. So I got kind of used to that, and understanding like what I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, I get more than that. I'm having symptoms that they're not even listing. So, okay. So, keeping tabs and understanding me first, right? So understanding the symptoms and, I have GI conditions as well that can have flare-ups. That's been pretty manageable, but at times everything is flaring up. So it's still understanding, okay, if I ate this, if I didn't get enough sleep, because sleep is a symptom of fibro as well, um, then I'm probably gonna feel this way, right? So just keeping smart tabs on that. And when I'm working, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, I mean, I'm a pretty big goal setter, but I've learned through this process now, go back to the baby steps, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm used to tackling a lot of things during the day, right? Especially being an entrepreneur. I don't, it's weird. It's like as an entrepreneur, you're more busy than you were working an 8-hour job, right? So I've figured out that, okay, I used to could get 10 things done. Now let's work on two or three.
Yeah.
And if you can do more, do more. If you can't, it's going to have to wait. And I think that's the hardest thing too, is just accepting as you're navigating what works, what doesn't for my body, meeting my goals, is it's just going to be different. You may get it, you may not. A lot of days, months, I can feel like I'm going to have a good day. By noon, my body shut down. I'm ready to call it a day. And it's like, man, the two things I had planned, I I I can't. So then you just kind of either, okay, I'll work in bed, see what I can do, maybe answer emails, research some stuff, like whatever it is. Then other times, yeah, I'm gonna watch my Disney movie. I'm gonna watch a Marvel movie. Um, but I'm still studying in some way, right? Like I'm paying attention to the music. I'm paying attention. I'm a voice actor too, right? So I'm paying attention to the acting cues that I'm seeing, which is kind of disturbing because now I can't just watch stuff. But all of those things help when I can't do even now the new normal. Um, and I think again, it still comes down to choice. I decide that I want to keep going, that I want to um, continue, right? And again, seeing what God can do with the little bit. That keeps me motivated. Talking to people in any type of situation, sharing my story, even that keeps me motivated because I know there's a lot of people that are, no matter what level, we're all dealing with stuff. And I'm sure as much as I do, a lot of people, life, as they say, life be lifing, and people quit, people stop. It's over. This happened. I can't do it anymore. I'm this loss. And I want to let people know that you can't allow it to stop you. It may slow you down. You may have to pivot. You may have to switch up how you're doing things, but I don't believe that you have to stop if you really want it, if it's really in you. You just got to figure out how to manage it, right? So,
Right. You've talked about purpose a few times. One of the first business coaches I ever talked to, her big thing was to get me think very hard about why
mm,
I'm doing what I want to do. And of course it was a short time later I realized that she was a fan of Simon Sinek, and he has several books. One probably the best book is called The Infinite Game, but he became famous with a book and a TED Talk associated with Start with Why. And
mhm,
that is, you might not always feel like doing what it is you want to do, but what keeps you going is understanding, why do I do that? And it comes to this podcast, for example, it's like I have to remember, why do I do it? It's because I want to help musicians develop all the skills that are holding them back from being the best musician they can
mhm,
be. And the more variety of topics that we can cover towards that end, that helps them. And so I want to make sure that I continue to build and add to that resource, even though some weeks I'm excited about it, some weeks I'm not.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the why, when I don't feel excited, the why centers me again. So, what drives you to keep you going no matter what?
Mm. Great question, but first I want to shout you out. It I don't think we will ever really know how we affect people,
Mhm.
but people like yourself doing podcasts, doing these different things to help people just get better at what they do. For me, it never goes unnoticed because I am fully aware, but at the same time, not what goes into it, right? And the things that I've gotten from people, I was listening to a few episodes, even now, even though I'm new to the platform, and I mean, I got some nuggets, you know what I mean? And I really cherish those moments. And so just kudos to you and what you've done and what you're doing, and about to do. So, um, yeah, the why for me, I knew early on, David, that I had purpose in it. Like it wasn't just, I'm a black male who can rap, right? The method is, or the genre is hip hop, but I knew I wasn't like the Jay-Z or the Kendrick Lamar or whatever. Like I wasn't that. And I was okay with that. But I was very curious by what I am supposed to be.
Mhm.
And it's crazy in the beginning, you don't know what the heck that is, right? Like I just know I'm supposed to be something in this and there's a purpose in it. 20 some years later, I understand it has nothing to do with music, right? It's the connections that I'm able to build through the songs, but even more so without, you know. Um, and so over the years, I just understand that God's given me a vision to talk about things that most people don't talk about in music, right? I've gotten a compliment from someone high in the industry who mentioned one of my songs and was like, wow, that was just very vulnerable. She was like, some top tier artists would love to be able to talk about stuff like this. But a lot of the songwriters don't write like that, right? And I was just like I got it, but it was just very weird at the same time. Um, and so again, I've over the years, I've already had a sense of being vulnerable was a strength. But I think, the more things happened, I find that, well, I'm gonna lean into it more and represent, be the example that, talking about these challenging moments, it's helpful, not only for me, but for everyone else. And I think that's the biggest part of how I can connect with people that don't look like me, speak the same language, where I'm from, whatever. And that's like the beauty. So to your point too, when even when you have the moments of like that comment or that DM that somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, I heard your song or I saw your video and man, I really thank you for that." Like those moments never get old. I think about it, but then even when I haven't had a moment in a while, I have to go back to the last moment or one of my favorite moments where it's just like, okay, you are affecting people. Um, I don't know if I want the whole, you know, million fans and things because that's a whole different, a whole different lifestyle, a whole different mindset to be able to manage and boundaries and all of that. But I'm so used to doing that one to one person at a time, one comment, one DM, and that was all before I had my son or both of my kids. One is about to turn 12. I'm not sure when this will actually be out, but Jace, happy birthday to you. He'll be 12 in September. Um, and then the one we lost, I saw purpose in that affected me. Like, okay, the time we have, we can still affect people. My son was only 22 weeks, David, and he affected me, his mom, the health staff that was helping us get through this moment. And if I can experience that and see how this young guy in this little bit of time affected so many people, then I got to be doing something right with what I'm doing. So to
Right.
your point, yeah, waking up, yeah, you do not feel like it. I mean, I think that's the biggest difference of being amateur and being a professional. We don't always feel like it. We don't always like the things that go on in our industry or what we do, right? That's just, I think, natural and okay to talk about. But when you go to that why and know what it is, um, still understanding what it is, because I think it develops more and more and more, right? Um, it it can set the mood for real. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, I think that's going to bring us just about to a close. That First of all, I want to thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing your story. Because I guess I know I'm not sure about all the listeners, but I know I have adult students who deal with various issues,
Yeah.
and one in particular we talk about it every now and then. So
Mhm.
uh, just trying to get better at the piano, but at the same time, dealing with life. So thank you for that. So, uh, where can people find out more about you, and what is it that you offer musicians that you'd like to share?
Yes. Well, first of all, again, thank you. It feels good to be able to talk about like the story, but also again, not all of us are vocal to talk about the challenges while creating music, right? Um, and I want to be the guy that's okay with talking about it. And I want to find the people that allow me to talk about it. So thank you. Um, yeah, so you can find me at jastinartis.com, JastinArtis.com. All the platforms. I'm mainly on LinkedIn, IG, TikTok, Facebook. I check it. Again, all Jastin artists, no funny symbols and things. Um, and then yes, what I offer is, I call it A&R coaching now, right? We're in a coaching space. I
Yeah.
had to make that pivot, David.
Just for the benefit
Yeah.
of those who might not know, what does A&R stand for?
Artists and repertoire.
Okay.
So it's the development of a person and a team um, that helps develop the artist on the creative side, but also on the business side, like, the strategies of getting the music out after it's done, right? Um, I love the creative aspect, right? Being a creative, I know the language,
Mhm.
but as I've developed, done a few things, school, I know the business side. So now I can liaison between the two, right? But in 2025, I think a lot of people still don't know what A&R is. And I think
Right.
the big notion is I got to be signed to a big label and I have an A&R that's going to tell me what to do and tell me what the songs are and if they're good or not. And then it's like, yeah, but not everybody's going to get a deal of any kind, right? But that doesn't mean you still can't be successful. I feel like the A&R is typically that person that believes in you. And I tell artists, you only need one person that believes in you to get you to the next level. Now, granted, yes, you still need a team, but you just need one person to believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I feel like I'm that person. So I've created, I started out with just artist development. Big key is always helping artists find their voice. I like people or I shouldn't say I like, but I am more enthused with folks that are really trying to make their own sound rather
Yeah.
than I just want to sound like, you know, top 40 who's ever on the radio.
Right.
Not that that can't be, influential into what you're doing, but people that really want to create their own sound, find it. Um, but then also, David, be confident about their business. One of my things is I believe that creators are leaders. So I teach leadership through music. And I just want to take that notion that you don't have to be signed to be successful. Yes, it's going to be a bit more work, but you can do it. And if you work with me, I'm going to really, like, I really care. It's not about just another number or, selling another coaching program, subscription or whatever the case is. Like, I really do care and want to see the growth in, the development. And that's hugely important. So right now I'm doing mix and mastering subscription bundle where, I'll create quick mixes and full mixes for songs, but also give you one-on-one coaching, group coaching, because it's always nice to listen and learn from other folks. Excuse me. And I have different tiers for that. And then on the flip side, the PR aspect I have been loving naturally by doing it myself. I'm completing my second master's in public relations, so I'm working on a bundle for that as well, where it'll focus more on podcasting, so people can share their story, people can get another side of you as an artist, right? Publications, and then the strategy behind what you do, and making sure that's on brand, right? So
Excellent. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate you, David. Thank you.
And that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you have a story involving being a musician and having chronic illness and you'd like to share that with me and you want to do that privately, you can go to my website at davidlanemusic.com. Or if you want to share a story that you would like for me to share as part of a future episode, you can do so with your own voice by going to speakpipe.com/musician toolkit. Again, that's speakpipe.com/musician toolkit. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit like on that video, no matter where you're listening to this or watching it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back with you again next week.